This is Chatting Change. My name is Rami.
And I'm Nhlakanipho.
This one in Nhlakanipho has been married for 5 years. Well, I'm divorced. That's the first thing we're going to talk about. Let's just get that out of the way.
The difficulties of marriage.
Yeah, the difficulties of marriage. But he's been legally married for 5 years, and his family told him that until he's got a white wedding, he is not married.
Until I feed him a cow.
Yeah, so are you getting a cow?
I am getting a goat for now.
You see what happens? You see why we're going to have Precious the planner to come and talk to us? Because you're confused.
Well, we
a
need to
goat
deal
is like
with
for
these
5 people.
problems. We need to deal with these problems and the budget.
The budget. We all know that weddings are going to be complicated, but hey, what happens when you've got pressures in the house?
Let's see what happens.
Exactly.
Marriages in South Africa. So how many have you organized for people?
Since when? I think since I started, probably, I've never calculated.
Really?
On average, probably 22 a year.
Wow.
That is a lot. That is a lot of weddings.
That is
It's
quite a
not
lot.
really. A lot of people do more. I just keep it very boutique because it's quite a personal experience. So I'd like to make sure that, it's not about the quantity. So
You're not churning out the same thing.
But then what is the craziest wedding you've ever organized? Like whether, I don't know what the difficulties might have been, whether the bride kept changing her mind 150 times or, and families interfering.
sure.
It's quite a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Listen, I've got a lot of stories. I just have to think which one is worthy of telling. But
We'll wait.
let me just say the most interesting one was when the groom was late for 9 hours.
What?
The groom?
Whoa, wait. Take us back.
What?
So bride was from Swaziland, groom from Botswana,
Okay.
wedding planner from South Africa, wedding in Swaziland. And on the Saturday, we were supposed to start at 2. That time, groom was not even on South African soil or anywhere close to the Swaziland border. And let me just say, long story short, ceremony, she walked down the aisle at 10 p.m.
Wow.
And in Swaziland, you can't get married after 6 p.m.
Yes, because it's the tradition.
Yes, your marriage after sunset is not
cursed.
legal. Yeah, you can't.
Oh, it's not legal
No,
even?
Not
Really?
even legal. No church will allow you. So I had to kind of last minute make a plan B at the venue, a space that they hadn't even used for years, dusty as hell, canvas drops on the sides, clean it up, took everything from the church, from the last petal that was on the aisle, and tried to make a ceremony out of this
So you
dungeon.
did the whole church setup.
Yeah, but I think the part for me that really tested, do I really want to do this? I asked the priest, I think you should talk to this bride. I don't know, because I don't think I would go ahead with the wedding. And she waited.
I would think so too.
She waited.
Okay, but what was the problem?
Dude was still in his country, making his way, collected his suit. So this is almost at the beginning when I started. So it taught me to just be in control of everything to avoid such situations. So on the way, on his wedding day, he was still collecting his suits with his groomsmen. Venue wasn't paid in full, so they had cooked everything, but we couldn't go in because I waited for him to come with the balance of the money. I've got crazy stories, but I think that one, if I can still tell that one now, that means it's the one that stands out because I can't believe that they actually got married, and I think they're still together. So, yeah.
And this was something that you had to fix. This wasn't
Oh,
something...
yeah, because I had to keep her. She'd be asking, are we starting? Then there was a time I was like, I actually have to tell you the truth. Because he asked me not to tell her that they're still on the way.
Oh, okay.
For a few hours, I couldn't get hold of him because obviously he's crossing different borders. So it's like Botswana, South Africa. Then he went to Pretoria to fetch his suit. Then on the way, he promised her a second dress, so he was picking that up. The wedding dress shop was my indication of how far he is, because I said, call me the minute he picks up that dress, because I know then he's
How
4
far
hours
he
away,
is.
4 hours away. And they were like, he collected the dress. Is this wedding happening? It's today. I'm like, yeah, we're waiting. She said she's waiting for him. And I think the worst is he didn't have the rings, so I had to send someone to go to True Words.
To True as to buy like
To
the
buy
normal,
a ring.
yeah, like the the plastic rings, basically.
Yes. And priest prayed, talked to her, and, you know, their confetti moment walking down the aisle afterwards was like nothing. And people waited. I literally had only 2 empty tables out of 150 guests. So 20 people only left. So it
People
just
stayed.
shows how much support, you know, people didn't care. They just wait. The wedding is still happening. We will wait. And that time, no one can eat anything because obviously we're waiting for him to come with the money. And he got there and still said, I need a shower. I was like, never. You are going to get dressed. Like, no time.
Right now.
We're doing this wedding now. I had to beg all my suppliers, my whole team to wait and say it's going ahead. They're like, this is not happening. You know, you charge hours. And the time you were supposed to start at 2, you've been waiting since 10 o'clock in the morning. And
Wow.
but they had a wedding and people were happy, people danced, and I guess
Dance the morning away, more like
I
the
guess
night
they,
away.
lived, they lived happily ever after.
And how did they get past the whole legal side of it? Since
Because it wasn't
after
at a
hours?
church.
If it's at a church, then
Yes.
it's after 6 it's illegal.
Yes, so there's no
Wow.
priest that would actually, so they had to ask someone to actually do the ceremony.
At the venue. At the
And then
other-
they did the legalities afterwards. But
Okay.
yeah, someone
Okay.
they could do their vows.
So there's
and-
no option to do it the next day.
With who? I wouldn't have stayed. I was nice
Someone
enough.
must pay for your time. Someone must pay for your
Oh,
time.
no, it taught me a lot. But yeah.
But then, I mean, now, everyone, when they do their weddings, they call you Precious the Planner. Because Precious the Planner, oh, your wedding, bespoke. Yeah, bespoke events, that's what we call it. But I'm sure that is like the craziest and kind of like one of the worst. And I'm sure you've had like the most beautiful weddings ever. And which one stands out for you for the weddings? Because also I want to get into that whole thing of, you know, the dynamics that go around people getting to the actual day, you know, the build up 6 months in advance, 3 months in advance. Also, families fighting, dates being changed, and all of that.
So I wouldn't pick one. Yeah, I'm too personal into this business of mine. I've got quite a a personal relationship with a lot of my clients. So
You've known them prior working with them, or
No.
has it just become
no,
through
I mean,
work?
just imagine you talk to someone for almost a year.
Of course.
Yeah,
of
then it's-
course.
So
yeah.
some really stay, and we still communicate after their wedding. But I think the highlight would probably be my first wedding that I did in Mauritius. The challenge was exciting because Mauritius is very strict on a lot of stuff. You can't bring in your own flowers that are not like Mauritian
Indigenous
flowers.
flowers,
Yes,
yeah.
correct. So, you know, beautiful setup at the end of the day, but we had to, you know, throw away the flowers because they don't want to risk having anyone from Mauritius actually either the seedlings or whatever planting roses or
Yeah.
so it was interesting in the fact that it's different language, different territory, and it was a production of note, and I loved every moment. So that's probably, I mean, even the setting, I mean, it's not a typical island wedding, and we literally brought luxury and bespoke that South Africans want
Yeah.
in a country that it's usually quite a simple, you know, celebration that they do, small, intimate, yeah.
And this was a South African wedding in Mauritius, or
Yes.
was it Mauritian couple?
No, South African couple.
Hi, people have money.
No, yeah, it's
Yeah,
true.
I'm getting
Especially when
very-
it comes to these ceremonies.
I would get a Mauritius backdrop.
Yeah, that's
Green
it.
screen,
I mean,
everything.
if I show you, it's you can't compare it to anything. It was worth every cent I think they
Yeah.
spent, and also it's vital to choose the right space because you can have. So with my expertise, when I went for site visits, what they had chosen would have, if you looked at the pictures afterwards, it could have been any venue anywhere in the world. So I had to kind of tell them you can't spend all this money and bring everybody to
Into a hall,
Mauritius,
yeah.
and your reception is indoors, and
Yeah.
it could be at the convention center. So I make sure I give my clients that kind of advice so that they get their money's worth, and yeah.
But then let's talk about, I know we've got cross-cultural, where someone is Swaziland, someone is from Botswana, the other person is from Swaziland, or someone is black, the other one is white, different cultures.
countries,
And
races,
I know
yeah.
not only are you a wedding planner, but then there's a time when now you have to be the one putting out fires because now.
Yeah, I
You
can
know, I
add
know
a lot
it
of
gets to a point where
titles.
the bride is like, you know what, this wedding is off, you know, because of a whole lot of elements. You know, what have you experienced in terms of that?
I think the minute I come across, I'm a good judge of character. So I haven't had couples that actually want to call it off. And yeah.
Wow.
That's good.
I just don't take any client.
Okay.
In my 10 years, I've only had one divorce. I know it sounds like I'm a marriage officer, but things like that are important to me
Yeah.
because.
Yeah.
But when it comes to cross-cultural couples, I've had where it's a South African and an Australian, and it was just so amazing to see the infusion of the two cultures come together, and how willing, like his family from Australia were into knowing about our culture, and just how they enjoyed every moment. Where for us it's simple and not something that is like exciting and adventurous. For them, it was such an experience for them.
Yeah.
So, and I advise in a manner that I make sure it's not just about the bride. So I'm one of those planners that make sure it's about two people.
And it usually does feel like it's
It is
just
about the bride most
Yeah.
of the
So,
time. Well, it would be about
exactly.
I can be a bit, the bride might be like, just like how you looked at me, it's about me. No, it's not. Because then, otherwise, then everything, the experience for the guest, the way everything is going to look is only going to reflect
Feel
one-sided.
one-sided, yeah.
So the minute you put together two people's personalities and gel them together, then obviously you're going to come up with something amazing. Otherwise, every wedding would look the same because girls dream the same. We want kind of that fairy tale, and I think men just tone it down into realistic manner. So that's why
That's true.
I listen to both.
Yeah, you went, that's true very quickly.
The
That's true.
budget. So how much will that be?
So it's not just about you guys paying.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not.
And there's been a lot of surprises where I feel there's such a change in the men are so involved. I have a couple that I'm talking more to the groom than the bride. And if I ask him something, even about makeup, he'd be like, he's got a kind of his input on.
Wow.
This hairdresser is not going to work. They were late. He's
He
it's
knows.
surprising.
What's that
he's
person's
right
occupation, if you don't mind me asking?
He's a numbers man, and
Wow.
it's an international couple. So they're based in the UK and they're getting married in South Africa.
That's amazing.
So
Budget,
How did they find you?
actually. Now,
Yeah.
now that you're saying they're getting married in
Yeah.
South Africa, I want us to talk about budget because I know that I know the way you do weddings, the way you prepare everything from the beginning all the way to the end, you always try to fit within the budget of the couple, but obviously you get unrealistic expectations, but you hardly turn people away. You don't just go like, your budget is too little.
not gonna
But then
happen.
there's a way that you make it work. But now, in terms of budget and how people save and how invested they are to make sure that the wedding is successful, what is your advice? What do you say to them? And how do you say to them, okay, those flowers, they're like 1,000 rand a pop, but your budget can only get you
Yeah.
the 20 rand little ones, and you can still make it magical.
I'm transparent and honest, and don't let people have unrealistic expectations from the budget. So because of my experience, first off, when I have a consultation with a couple, I ask how much they have, how
So
much
that's
they
the
want
first thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Because then imagine if I just took every client and along the way they run out of money.
Yeah.
I've probably lost business because I've said, go back and save, go work some more. Because if you want this and you're not willing to compromise, and I'm telling you it's not going to happen with the money you have, you're looking at this much for what you want. If you don't have it now, come back when you have it. If you're willing to compromise and lower your expectations, then we can do it. For this much, this is how much you're going to get. This is what you're going to receive. So that first consultation is very crucial in deciding if I'm actually gonna work with the client or not.
But there's also pressures now where people have to they feel like they have to have that date happen. There's no option of I'll go back and save and do it because
We
there's
want it
families.
today.
Yeah, we need to do it on the date the family said they want it here or whichever
Actually,
reason it may be.
I had a client yesterday. We have to postpone because the groom had to be honest with me and say, it's business is not good. I want to focus on, making sure that I get my feet back on the ground, and I'll give you an idea of when I'll be ready again, because I don't want to go ask for a loan or ask for money. I want to make sure that she gets the wedding of her dreams. So rather than cancelling,
without landing in debt.
yes,
for
or
it.
telling you
awesome.
too close to the wedding, let's postpone.
Yeah.
Okay. One last thing before we finish this whole thing. Tell me, we are black. We do not RSVP. We show up.
We are there.
We are there. Do you understand?
In fact, I'll find out
So what
yesterday
happens,
and I'll
especially
be
if
there
it's
tomorrow.
like traditional weddings? How do you deal with that? Because go high, you put a tent outside and the whole street come.
Yeah.
And my cousin, I'm going to come. I can RSVP, but I'm bringing my sister, my 4 brothers, and 8 of my cousins.
So Precious Celebrations chooses which kind of weddings that are not going to be under her control and only
That's
says yes to
beautiful.
those that I can control everything. Because at the end of the day, I'm the punching bag. So my team, when that person says, do you know I'm the most important auntie and you're telling me my name is not on the list, you don't know who I am.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure we also have a contingency in place.
Uh-huh.
So 120 people, I'll set up for 130, just in case.
Okay.
But the weddings at home where everybody can come, we say we only look after your most important guests, and that's your VIP guest for the day. Everybody else that just wants to show up, you handle.
Okay.
We handle what we can control, and we go with the list. If you're not on the list, can you wait your turn until there's an empty seat? That's the way we do it. And I try and make sure it's in the most respectful way. So if I know my clients are Zulu, my clients are Xhosa, my clients are Baby,
That's
whoever's
important.
right in the front can communicate in a way that they don't feel like you're disrespecting them. Because now here I come with my English, and Zulu Mama
Woolworths.
doesn't get it because
Water.
now I don't have respect. So
When Tombazan. That's how it's gonna
exactly.
go.
So we put up a lot of fires for our clients. I always say to them, you sitting there looking all pretty, you don't know what we're going through there, hey? So make sure you follow up and know who's coming. If not, then we'll just make sure you pay for 2 extra tables to avoid having issues of people don't have anywhere to sit.
Is there a limit of how many fires that you can actually put?
No, there isn't. There can't be. You don't know.
Like,
No,
okay, we've had 5 now, it's fine, now it's on you.
There's no ways you can. No, I've had a wedding where it was like, okay, whatever happens next, it happens, because it was also a place where I couldn't control crowd, I couldn't control anything. So with moments like that, you just focus on what you can resolve at that moment. But 90% of the time, there's nothing really to put out fires. Everything is perfectly orchestrated. So.
Thank you so much, Miss
Well,
Precious.
thank you, Precious, for this
Pleasure.
precious moment.
Yeah. Precious celebrations, bespoke.
Yes,
moment.
indeed.
Yeah, and it looks amazing. I'm loving your weddings.
Thank you.
I want a
I'm loving
wedding,
the
but
events you're
without the
planning,
groom.
yeah.
Is that doable?
Is that a
you hear what
wedding?
she
Is that
A wedding
Well-
without the groom.
Do it in Swaziland. You'll wait. The groom might
I
not
can't
be
believe
there.
you went there.
Oh, goodness.